I want you guys to listen to this interaction between Stephanie Ruhle and Eddie Glaude, because Eddie Glaude finally got her to do something rarely you would see a host do, Norman. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
All right, let's go.
Eddie, the fact that we were all so blindsided by the election results, does that tell us that identity politics is silencing people? Because even I can see in my social media feed in the last couple of days, all these people are suddenly like, yeah, that was my guy. We're hearing stories in the suburbs the day after the election. People are now putting Trump signs up.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, but let's be clear, Trumpism is a form of identity politics.
Amen.
We don't want to say that my beautiful white skin, remember? That's what he said?
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson saying in Madison Square Garden, we have been given permission to call BS on this wokeism stuff. We will no longer be made to feel guilty. That comes straight out of, we will not be replaced. That came straight out of Tucker.
There were a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump who didn't listen to the rally and who don't know who Tucker Carlson is, but who are super unhappy about inflation, that they can't afford their lives and they voted for him. And they're not buying into fascism.
I get that, but I think they have an idea, though, that whenever the incoherence of the country comes into full view, the tricky magic of falling into place, falling behind a notion of whiteness that could hold off all the reason why all hell is breaking loose economically, right, is because big government is putting its thumb on the scale and redistributing resources from deserving people to undeserving people, right? So there's this sense, right, that whiteness, right, is under threat. The demographic shifts. The country isn't what all of these racially ambiguous children on Cheerios commercials are confusing the hell out of me.
A lot of people voted because their life's too damn expensive, and it was here, and
they voted for. You're telling me that all of these people who believe that their lives that bread is too high and eggs are too high, that they voted for a convicted fella, a guy who said we can grab the pea.
I think that a lot.
They voted for this guy.
I'm not defending it. But I think there are tons of people that don't pay attention to, and I'm not defending it, don't pay attention to politics at all. But while we live in the most prosperous country in the world, people are saying, life's not fair, I'm not doing well, my son's still living in the basement, I can't seem to get a job, I don't like the status quo, I'm voting for something else, and he was the person.
I love you to life,
I love you.
But I do not believe that. I cannot believe that. And the reason I think you believe it is because you don't want to believe that that's what's really motivating them. It's always the case. People don't want to believe what the country actually is, because if they believe it, they're going to have to confront what's in them. I don't believe that. They voted for a crook, a person who they know is stealing from, just doing everything to undermine the so-called country that they love. And then they're telling us the BS that it's economics. We know that's not true. We know it's not true. And we got to raise our kids in this shit. Oops.
You're allowed.
Go ahead.
You're allowed.
I do think it's pretty clear that we don't share the same deal breakers as a country that I would have hoped for.
Okay, this is what I think.
So This is
what I think. This is what I think.
Which is to say that there are certain things that should obviously be disqualifying. How he has approached the question of race alone is disqualifying.
Agreed.
Without question. What he has done in the laundry list you just alluded to, felonies, rape in a civil trial, down the list, 40 or so cabinet members who say, we cannot work for this guy, we cannot support this guy.
Yes.
All of that stuff. Why isn't it disqualifying? On some level, it's because they opted in and saw it and said, not bothered by it. Not as important to me as change that I personally can believe in, selfishness, right? But the other thing that makes this so bleak that I keep on returning to is that some people also just don't care enough to know and or just don't know. Right? When I think about the way that
I'm not excusing it, but I think that's the case.
I wish I could isolate the variable of malice versus ignorance. I believe that a recurring through line of our time is that it's becoming increasingly impossible to know. And maybe that's a distinction without a difference, right? Maybe we have the responsibility to know, but we are living in a media ecosystem in which there is no mainstream. And Eddie, I just can't count on everybody having the information in a way that I grew up knowing and hoping our country would.
Anyway, did Eddie Glaude do the right thing finally on national TV in the way he addressed her with love, but in the way he addressed Stephanie Ruhle?
I think he did. I think that is what a lot of other people, POCs have been saying this a long time. We're the ones at risk. We didn't pull a race card.
Right.
It's been created for us. So, so if you're in a situation in which you cannot say, look, my country is not what I thought it was.
And that is a hurtful part. I mean, a lot of people think that most Americans are hurting because Kamala didn't get elected. It's not that we're hurting because Kamala didn't get elected. They're hurting because America looked into their faces and said, you know what? A person who's done all that America said you're supposed to do. You got an education. You got a good job. You service the community. You are, for the most part, truthful. Running up against a criminal, not just somebody that we think is a criminal, somebody by his own words, by his own deed is a criminal. And you lose an election and then you claim it's the economy. Norman, no matter what, it may be true that the economy for many, it's bad. That may be true.
Yes.
But the truth of the matter is it's no different or not substantively different than when Donald Trump crashed the economy and we rebuilt.
No. Look, we all want to have a scapegoat for this. But in reality, what happened for me on Wednesday was I had to come face to face with the destruction of the myth of the America that I believed in.
Yeah.
I believed in a country that was post-World War II. People would stand up against fascism. I thought people were strong in their belief in each other. I'm disappointed.
You gotta
I've got a wake-up call in my own people because I'm an American. Above all things, I choose to live here, and this is where I want to be. But I'm disappointed.
And justifiably so. And until hosts like Stephanie Ruhle stop thinking that somehow that this election was because of economic issues, other than the core issue. And you hear the media trying to analyze in all different forms, not to say basically why Kamala lost. Kamala lost not only for the same reason Hillary lost, but she also lost for her hue. And until we realize that, we're going nowhere. So I want to thank Eddie Glaude for being brave enough to go on national TV and say something that we all know. Stephanie Ruhle doesn't want to know it because at the core, she's going to have to say, a lot of my friends and family, that's who they are.
Hold on. I don't think it's because Stephanie Ruhle doesn't know it. I think
she doesn't want to know it.
She does. She's not allowed to say this. This is corporate media.
You know what? I think you're right.
This is a tangible thing. She wants to sell herself. She will not call out her own folks in her own back room that do bad things, right? She won't say anything about all the things that happened in 2016, all the way up to this election.
Norman, I think I gotta agree with you. So I think Stephanie Ruhle knows better, but she's also looking out for her interests as well. But she gave, at least there's one thing we got to give her latitude for. She gave Eddie Glaude the opportunity to say what both you and I know.
And thanks, Eddie Glaude, for saying it out loud.
Absolutely. Folks, we have to live in a better country. We have to fix this country. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.